Good afternoon, everybody. Pigskin Pete here. Happy Wednesday to everybody. Today's going to switch it up a little bit. There's a lot of news coming out over the past couple of weeks out of the Carolina Panthers organization. David Tepper, the second-year new owner of the Panthers, is clearly trying to head in a younger direction. So for the past few years, we've been very old on defense. We've always been one of the best defensive teams in the NFL since 1995. We always had defensive head coaches. But the past few years, we've been taking our first pick and using them on skill positions on offense. So I guess it was like 5 years ago, we got Kelvin Benjamin with our first pick. 2 years ago, we got McCaffrey with our first pick. Last year, we got DJ Moore, great wide receiver out of Maryland, with our first pick. But I think they're going to go in a different direction this year. And between the draft and free agency, I think that we could really hit a home run this season if everything works out the way it's supposed to. So we freed up a lot of cap space. First off, Julius Peppers retires, a legendary defensive end for the Panthers. Thomas Davis was cut, legendary linebacker for the Panthers. Captain Munnerlyn cut, and that's going to free up about $2 million. Nothing great, but he's past his prime, and he's not really worth extending any sort of contract to. Mike Adams, not going to be re-signed. Now, they did extend a contract to Eric Reed, who's probably the best safety that we've had in at least a decade. Now, for anybody who doesn't know, Eric Reed was a player that played with Colin Kaepernick, and he was sort of blackballed from the NFL for a couple of seasons after that whole kneeling thing. And the Panthers really needed a safety last year, pulled the trigger on him with a one-year deal. He played great, and so now they've extended a bigger contract to him, so I'm super excited about that. But what are we going to do? So there's some really intriguing free agents out there. And when I'm talking about free agents, I'm talking mostly about defense. I maybe get into a little bit on offense. I mean, you got Le'Veon Bell out there. You got Antonio Brown. Those are the two home run big names. But they come with a huge price tag and also a lot of baggage, quite frankly. We'll see what happens with AB. I said I would take him, but I'm going to stick to defense right now. So there's rumors out there that Jadeveon Clowney could become a free agent. From the Texans. He's in contract negotiations right now with the Texans. I would be shocked if he actually did become a free agent. I think that they will re-sign him or possibly franchise tag him, which he will not be happy about. J.J. Watt's getting older. He's the second best player on that team, on that defense. And so they'll probably give him whatever he wants. Now, I would love to see Jadeveon Clowney somehow make his way to Carolina. Come back home to the Carolinas. Everybody knows he played for the South Carolina Gamecocks. He can play multiple positions. He can play linebacker. He can rush on the edge. He can even play interior line. He's very, you can move him anywhere. He's very versatile in that way. He has had a few injury problems, but these past couple seasons, he's really sort of broke out into his own and stayed healthy for the most part. And I think right now, Jadeveon Clowney is in the prime of his career. Anybody who gets him, if the Texans don't re-sign him, is going to be getting a steal. Even if it costs him $20 million a year, it'll be worth it. This is the time to get him. And I don't think that's going to happen. And even if he did become a free agent, I'm probably less than a 5% chance that he would make his way to Carolina. DeMarcus Lawrence is another big-time free agent. Edge rusher out of Dallas, the Cowboys. Now, he comes with a big hit, probably a $20 million hit against the cap. And so it's going to be a team that really needs an edge rusher and has a lot of cap space. It's probably going to land him. Although if somehow he made it to Carolina, I would be more than pleased with that. So there's one of two scenarios here between free agency and the draft that the Panthers are going to do things here. So they're either going to draft some edge rushers, some young guys on the outside of the defense, and then pick up on the back end of the defense a free agent from somewhere. Earl Thomas is also a free agent this year, but he comes with a big price tag probably as well. Plus, like I said before, we just signed Eric Reed, and we don't need another safety with a big contract. Or what they're going to do is they're going to draft on the back end of the defense and then acquire one of these free agents to shore up the defensive line. Either way is fine with me. I mean, as far as the defensive backs go in this draft, you've got Greedy Williams, you've got DeAndre Baker out of Georgia, you've got Trayvon Mullen out of Clemson. Those are probably the top three. There may be another one in there that I'm forgetting about. Top 3 or 4 defensive backs in this draft. Of course, you have Cleveland Farrell, Josh Allen, Nick Bosa, all these edge rushers that are in the draft. Now, I think probably Josh Allen and Bosa will be gone before Carolina picks. Farrell is questionable. I think he might be gone too. But if somehow they could pick up Cleveland Farrell, I think that would be an amazing pickup. So they're just changing the way that they do things. And they really need to. Now, the other situation, especially on offense, is so we've got McCaffrey. We're fine there at running back. He's a workhorse. He's a 4-down back. You hear this term? He's a 3-down back. McCaffrey has played more snaps at running back than any other running back in the NFL the past couple seasons. He's their workhorse. And he's a nightmare to deal with. He can do everything. He can run between the tackles. He can run on the outside. He can catch passes out of the backfield. He can even line up in the slot and go over the middle. So he's dynamic. DJ Moore, I think, is going to be a great receiver. We do need to probably draft receiver at some point, whether it's the second or third round. I definitely would not go receiver in the first round like they've been doing a few out of the 3 out of the last 4 years or whatever. And then, of course, Cam Newton is the biggest question out of all this. Is he going to be healthy? We may need to look at drafting a quarterback in the second or third round. I know Panthers fans don't want to hear that, but if for some reason Cam Newton's not ready to play at the beginning of the season, or he re-aggravates that shoulder midway through the season, we can't just throw... Who was the guy we had last year as backup? He's not winning us anything. I'm not willing to go throw a whole nother season away just because Cam Newton has a shoulder problem. The last time he had a shoulder surgery, it took him over a year to recover from it to get back to normal. In fact, that year after he came back, after that first surgery, was a disaster. And so, who knows if he's going to even be available to play? If he is available to play, how long will he stay healthy? If he's 100% healthy, then the offense will be fine. But you can't count on that. Either draft a quarterback at some point that can win you football games if something happens to Newton, or do something crazy and go out there and get you a Colin Kaepernick. Now, look, I know I'm not going to even get into whether or not I agree with the kneeling and all that. It's completely irrelevant to me. I don't care about any of that. I might be in the minority. Whether I like it or not doesn't matter. You know what I do like seeing? The Panthers win football games. And I think that Colin Kaepernick is probably the best option if something were to happen to Newton, because he can move around and he's not a terrible player. He's better than any other backup quarterback in the NFL, I promise. So, now listen, I don't even know. Colin Kaepernick, there's rumors out there that he's not even allowed to play. He, took a multi-million-dollar settlement with the NFL to sort of go away. But I don't know if legally that can hold up. How can you stop a guy from making a living if somebody's willing to pay him? And so I would not be opposed to that. I would not want Colin Kaepernick being our starter, but if something happened to Cam Newton, then I would take him twice on Sunday and every other day of the week too. So, now, the X factor in this whole draft is the offensive line. Listen, there's a lot of people out there that would love to get edge rushers and cornerbacks and maybe a wide receiver at some point, or maybe even a quarterback, like I said before. But the offensive line is a real problem, and it really doesn't matter who you have back there at quarterback if you can't protect them. And believe me, nobody would love to get an offensive lineman more than Cam Newton and probably Christian McCaffrey as well. So it's a big need. So it's going to be interesting to see these first 4 rounds in particular. Offensive lineman, defensive end, cornerback. That's your 3 biggest needs right now on the team. And so what order will they take these guys in, or will they sneak a quarterback in there somewhere? I don't know. The direction that they're taking, getting younger, and I just hope they make a big move. I hope they make a big move for one of these free agents, and I hope that they shore up the ends of the defense and the back end of the defense. And of course, we still got Luke Kuechly in there. The middle of our defensive line is still solid. Our run-stopping defense is still going to be solid. What we really need is the edge rushers the most, and a couple of really good dynamic cornerbacks that can cover. Somebody that can cover. Yeah, that's the whole point of being a cornerback, isn't it? To cover. Something we haven't been able to do for at least 5 years now. Anyway, let me know if you're a Panthers fan out there. Put your comment down below. How would you like to see them draft, and who would you like to see them possibly pursue in free agency? Have a great day. Pigskin Pete checking out.